Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for coming out to join us. My name is Melissa. I am the president of the Auburn Players currently, and we just want to extend from the bottom of our hearts how happy we are to do this production again, how happy we are to be out doing theater again, and how grateful we are to have you come out and support us and to see us. With that, quick reminder, please make sure all your cell phones are turned off. No flash photography, please. If for any reason you need to exit, you can use the doors that you came in and the set to your right here. We hope that you will come and follow us on Facebook. Look at our website, auburnplayers.org, for upcoming events, one of which will be a fundraiser we're doing, a night of musical pieces in November on the 12th. We're also hoping, as things open up, to bring you On Golden Pond and Durang Durang and Your Good Man, Charlie Brown. So stay tuned for that. We invite you to come out and audition, bring friends to see the show, or come help us backstage. Join our community. Our family is always growing, and we'd like for you to be a part of it. And with that, again, thank you for your continued support of the arts, of us and other theaters around, and enjoy the show.
War,
Tragedies of war.
murder,
Root,
chaos.
We're here. No, we won't go. Hell no, we won't go. Hell no, we won't go. Hell no, we won't go.
Eteocles and Polynices were the sons of King Oedipus.
From childhood, the brothers were inseparable, each a shadow to the other.
Together, they roamed the forests, climbed enchanted trees, aimed their arrows at a single target.
If one fell ill, the other held vigil by their bedside. But in the esteemed city of Thebes, they were the undisputed mark of brotherhood.
When their father, King Oedipus, looked into the past and was shown its truth, the king, horrified at what he saw, destroyed his eyes and renounced his crown.
Polynices, the elder son, the rightful heir, assumed the throne.
But Eteocles, defying the law, overthrew Polynices. He was sent into exile.
From a distant land, Polynices assembled an army.
Eteocles, anticipating a revolt, activated his troops.
With his band of outcasts, Polynices marched onto Thebes.
For 7 years, the armies of Eteocles and the soldiers of Polynices did battle.
On August 11, 1968, I returned to base camp. The next day was my 21st birthday. The guys gave me a pair of boxer underwear and a cold beer, along with a hot shower. After the shower, Henry came by and apprised that I was on guard for the night. I was assigned to the main gate. Henry told me he'd take my watch. I could take his some other time. At 01:20 hours, our base was hit and overrun by Viet Cong. Henry was the first person killed when the Viet Cong threw a grenade through the bunker. After the grenade was thrown, Henry was shot in the chest with an AK-47. I was asleep at the time. I heard the blast and I jumped for cover. The Viet Cong were all over the camp, and the fighting lasted until sunrise. Henry Bradshaw died for me that day. If he hadn't heard the Viet Cong, we may all have been killed. I dug the bullet that killed Henry from the bunker wall, and I've kept it these 20 years.
7 years.
1,
And neither Eteocles or Polynices
2,
was able to defeat the other.
3,
So the brothers met on the battlefield,
4,
alone,
5,
one against the other,
6,
without escorts,
7,
to end an endless war.
For 22 years I've carried your picture in my wallet. I was only 18 years old that day we faced one another on that trail in July, Vietnam. Why you didn't take my life, I'll never know. You stared at me, armed with your AK-47, and yet you did not fire.
The brothers approached.
Swords drawn.
You stared at me for the longest time, armed with your AK-47, and yet you did not fire.
In their struggle, each received a fatal wound. Together, they died in the shadow of their home.
Forgive me for taking your life. I was reacting as I was trained, to kill BC.
The bloody feud of Eteocles and Polynices has ended.
The city of Thebes is at peace once again.
So many times over the years I've stared at your picture, and each time my heart and guts burned with the pain and guilt. Now, I perceive you as a brave soldier defending this homeland. I suppose that's why I'm able to be here today. It is time for me to continue the life process and release the pain and guilt. Forgive me, sir.
Creon assumed the throne.
King Creon decrees.
Let those who died in service to their country be given a proper burial. For Eteocles, the faithful son of Oedipus, prepare a royal funeral worthy of the man. Have him declared hero of Thebes.
Dear Smith, perhaps now I can bury you, at least in my soul. Perhaps now I won't again see you night after night, unless the war reappears and we are once more amidst the hells of Vietnam. We lay crouched in cold mud and were drenched by monsoons. We must have burned at least 1,000 leeches off of one another and used a gallon of insect repellent a day. And when you were hit, I was your medic, all the way. And when I was blown 50 feet by the mortar, you were there first. And when I laid shaken with malaria, you were there to wipe my brow. You survived 18 months of one demon hell after another, only to walk into a booby-trapped bunker, and all of a sudden you had no face or chest. I've never cried. My chest becomes unbearably painful and my throat tightens, but I have not cried.
As to Polynices, the traitor, the degenerate son of Oedipus, who rallied his band of renegade soldiers against our city, let him rot on the battlefield. Let his stinking flesh, broiled by the sun, be carrion for wild dogs. Let vultures pick bare his bones. I forbid any show of respect to the villain. Anyone who defies this decree shall be put to death.
Dear David, talked to Kate the other day on the telephone. She said she's doing better, trying to adjust to being alone. Mom's been meaning to see you, but the work's just never done. Dad just seems to sit around and stare. I guess I missed you most of all. You were more than a brother. You were my friend. I thought we'd be together, but so suddenly it had to end. I never thought I'd never see you again.
Why should Polynices not be buried?
He was the enemy. The war was his doing.
Enemy is a word broadly used.
He attacked our city, intent on killing our king.
Polynices was one of us.
The prince betrayed his homeland. He sought to destroy the city that nurtured him.
The prince has a family. His wife and children mourn for him. Surely they hope for his body to be entombed.
I have a husband conscripted in the army. Would his corpse be buried on foreign soil by the enemy?
Children have no care for kingly squabbles. They dream only of their father's touch.
Have you no reverence for your country?
Consider the commandments of the gods. The dead, whether friend or foe, should be buried.
We are beholden to our king, appointed by a higher power, ambassador to the gods. Heed the edict of King Creon!
Silence. Someone approaches.
My Marine, there is no name for me to touch, to feel the pain or ease the pain. Oh, it's there somewhere, among the hundreds of others who, for all our skill and trying, we could not mend. But you alone are the one I remember. You are the one for whom I grieve. You were covered with the accumulated grime of days in the bush. You were in no pain, you were lucid. I got x-rays and took them to the neurosurgeon to look at. It was hopeless. Shrapnel had entered the head and bounced around the skull like a ball in a roulette wheel. Operating was useless. Damage to the brain would cause swelling and death. You'd be dead within 3 hours and a coma within 2. It was decided not to tell you that you were dying. Was that the right choice? I think that is what haunts me the most. It was only a scratch. You'd be back with your buddies tomorrow, no sweat. What we talked about, where you were from, your name. Of these things, I remember nothing. But for me, you were and are Vietnam. All the wasted lives for no purpose. Not one of us would leave undamaged. All of us would be forever changed by the experience, and you would be dead. In the 3rd hour, you fell asleep, you never woke up. A half hour later, your heart stopped. You died peacefully in ignorance that your life was at an end. How I wish I could tell your mother. How I wish I could touch your name and say goodbye.
Antigone and Ismene, daughters of Oedipus, princesses of Thebes, sisters to the dead men. Consider their pain, honor their loss, give them leave to mourn.
Here is the portal, Ismene, a gateway to our father's house, where we played as children. How kind and excellent our father was.
We had an envied childhood.
Here we learned of father's crimes. Murderer of his father, husband to his mother.
There are those who say father was innocent, that he acted within the law.
Innocent? Yes, and guilty too.
Our house was cursed. Who can refute the truth?
I witnessed father's death. And now our brothers are gone. It is too much.
Do not despair.
We are alone in this world without family.
There is reason to hope. Peace has been restored. Our country will nurture us and be our family.
How young you are.
Be an example, an inspiration to those who lost their loved ones in the war.
An example.
Show them it is possible to endure.
Oh, surely you jest.
What good is it to harbor such anger?
Our slaughtered brother lies unattended on the field of battle. What law decrees one cannot bury the dead?
The law of Creon.
And what tradition supports his proclamation? Never even an enemy has been treated in such a base and disdainful way.
If an injustice has been committed, God will intervene. God will have his revenge.
Do not speak of God. Did God renounce the war? No, God was mute. When we prayed for a quick and peaceful end, God was deaf. When Creon surveyed the carnage and spat upon the corpse of Polynices, God turned the other way.
Mid-September, and the wind sweeps the leaves, dancing over footprints, yet so still in the trees. The wind, the watchman for the night, guarding the stones under starry sky. You're still alive, you're still alive to me. You're still alive, you're still alive to me. The dawn will break and the sun will shine, revealing the names of the soldiers who died. Notes and letters placed down with care, together remember the lives that they shared. They'll whisper, you'll see your reflection in the black granite wall, then fall to your knees, remembering them all.
Ismene, help me bury Polynices.
Antigone, consider the penalty. You are courting death.
You cherish life more than your brother.
Put aside this crazed notion. Don't question the commandments of the king.
Do nothing. That's your answer. Let hate just prevail.
What's to be done? We are women powerless in this matter. Obey the law.
To watch you die has been the most painful encounter of my life.
Obey the law.
I'm glad you had the brief time with us that you did. I think what comforts me the most is the fact that you had something a great many of us never have the chance to experience. You had someone who loved you very, very much.
Citizens, God, who witnessed the death of King Eteocles, has chosen me his successor. And as your newly anointed sovereign, I have made my wishes known. Polynices, coveting the throne, is now dead. The rogue is to remain where he fell, exposed and unburied.
The guards surround his body. It is impossible for anyone to pay homage to the man.
Thanks be given. The war is won. And although we mourn our dead, we must not succumb to grief. We must recruit new soldiers, restock our arsenals, and rebuild our armies. Step forward, all young, proud, and dedicated men of Thebes, so we may reclaim our place in the world.
My father was killed in the war.
My husband is paralyzed.
Our sons are needed at home.
We need their rents to build homes and tend the herds.
We do. To ensure our safety, to rebuild our borders, it is necessary to impose new taxes.
We are destitute.
We have no more to give.
Release us from the mandates of the state.
Do not complain to me of hardship. Wearing the crown is not an easy matter. As for your comrades who died on the field of battle, their valiant acts will not be forgotten. We have commissioned medallions for the families of the deceased.
We do not want emblems of our sons and their deeds. We desire their presence here, by our side.
Yes.
How are we to meet the demands of the state? The powerful and wealthy employ us, but they pay nothing.
Who speaks? Step forward. Make yourself known.
We are indentured to the rich, but they refuse to compensate us fairly for our labor.
You have the sound of a malcontent.
For 5 days I've gone without food. To fill my belly, I need more than pride, or patriotism, or medals made of bronze.
Cuff him! Educate this fool!
That is your solution? Silence those who would enlighten you?
I am your ruler, who holds the throne with God's blessing. I am not accountable to men. I answer to a higher power. I seek guidance from the heavens, and for those who treat me with goodness, I shall be good. Those who oppose me will be crushed.
Dear sir, I never knew you or you me. I'm returning the bracelet that I wore with your name on it.
17 years. You're still 21. Forever young, but gone. Murdered. And nothing will make your loss to us less of a tragedy.
For you, sir, the war is over. For many of us, it will never be over. Many questions of what if fill our minds. The question I have now is, how long were you a POW before you died? No one will ever know, will they?
What do you say, kid? I brought you flowers. I always brought you flowers, didn't I? Picked from the neighbors' yards on the way to the school bus. That's how we fell in love. And then I gave you daisies in the midst of all those white slabs of death. Your slabs said they gave you a purple heart for dying. Well, this here letter is a purple heart for living.
You will never know the cruel and heartless world we came home to. We'll never receive the thrill of being refused employment because of your service background, or being rejected from the American Legion and or VFW because we don't want no drug-crazed NAB vets in our post.
It was important for me to come here today, to touch your name on the wall that makes it all real. I'm still trying to say goodbye.
In 7 months, I will be 40. Wow. Most days I don't feel that old. Sometimes, I must admit, I feel 140.
It was wonderful to be in love the spring of '65. That part of you will always be alive. Love doesn't divide, it multiplies. And the me I bring to this wonderful life and the love I share is a part of you.
Get this, sir. I'm getting married again. And this one will work.
I'll always bring you flowers. You gave me love. Goodbye.
I will be back, sir, because a part of me, my life, is carved in these black stones.
Love doesn't divide, it multiplies.
I'm going for the brass ring. Ain't nobody gonna stop me. I'm gonna make it for you guys who never got the chance. I'm tired of being kicked in the ass by the world. I'm kicking back. Sir, here is your bracelet. Welcome home.
King Creon, I'm a sentinel charged to guard Polynices.
What is your message?
Polynices has been buried,
Buried.
covered by a handful of dust.
The guards neglected their vigil?
We struggled to remain alert, but it was impossible. It seems we were charmed by some strange, mysterious spell.
I am to believe that some god, some magical being entranced you, so the body of Polynices might be buried?
It is as I say. When we regained consciousness, the body had been buried.
Your true intentions do not escape me. You concoct a tale to avoid prosecution.
I am innocent, Lord, of any wrongdoing.
Do not insult me with unsubstantial whims. Go. And your repugnant tongue lick the dust from the flesh of Polynices.
Father, be reasonable.
You profess to be an ally to this lunatic.
Well, I have known this man for many years. He is not one to fabricate the truth.
You vouch for a fool? Spare me your arguments. I will not entertain falsehood. You are a fool to defend him.
What is false? And what is true?
You want to know the truth? Consult the law. Its tenets are infallible.
The law of God or the law prescribed by you?
Why, they are one and the same. And our laws will not be defied.
I was now in Vietnam about 6 months. My time came for a 2-week R&R to Thailand. But a sergeant came along and told me that my grandparents had died and my other grandparent was about to die. So, I canceled my R&R to call home, but I couldn't get a call through. So, they sent me back to my company, and about a day or two later, I was back on my way to R&R again. While standing there, a lieutenant walked by. You, soldier, they need a man at C Company. Get your gear and report back to the LZ for a chopper back to the mountains. I tried to tell him what was happening, but he said, I don't want to hear your shit, soldier. So I said, go fuck yourself. But then I went to go get my gear. The captain said he was writing me up for disrespect to an officer and for disobeying an order.
My lord, we have found the transgressor.
And to what do we credit such a swift apprehension? Did the law show its teeth?
I am here.
Antigone?
Your search is over. I am your captive. Carry out your sentence.
Do you acknowledge your crime?
Crime?
Do you admit your part in paying tribute to the corpse?
If I did, what then?
Well, the law is clear. It demands your death.
I have heard your law, but what spirit lives within its walls? I was taught a law proclaimed by those far greater than you. A law as old as time, without prejudice, pure, invincible as light itself. It is called love.
Yeah, I recognize the sentiment. You quote your father, Oedipus.
Yes, my father was blind, and for the last years of his life wandered this earth bereft of his kingly garb. Now my father lives in Hades, waiting to greet Polynices, his oldest son, who will never wear the crown. The crown belongs to Creon.
Your father's wish to see his son is futile. It will not happen, not under my reign.
In this pledge, I see your true and cruel nature, Creon.
Oh, you will not escape your fate by rebuking me.
Crucify me! Hang me from the ramparts of your palace! Hang me stoned to death! Throw my body into a pauper's grave! And I will rise and dine nightly at your table.
Arrogant threats.
You ignored the obligations ascribed to all mankind when you defiled the dead.
Is there no end to your conceit?
Call it what you will. I live as my father taught.
And you fear nothing?
What Creon do you presume I should fear?
Power.
Your power, King Creon? What of God's power, who still rules the world from on high?
Heretic, God abides with us.
God abides with the enemy too.
You pronounce your own death.
And yet my voice will live.
Oh, do not cast me as your executioner. Eteocles died with honor, and Polynices with shame. You refuse to distinguish between the two and thus indict yourself.
Reverence the dead, You two will die someday.
Polynices was our enemy.
Men everywhere are brothers.
His assault on our city was treason. He must be punished.
Forgive those who transgress.
Forgiveness! A fine word. But for those in power to enact a law and allow a rogue to circumvent it, it leads to anarchy. I have made my decision. Polynices remains exposed where he died.
You may end my life, but I will return. Until all nations live in peace, I will walk the fields of battle searching for fallen soldiers and anoint their bodies with the good and giving earth.
I tried to tell him what was happening. He said, I don't want to hear your shit, soldier. So I said, go fuck yourself. But then I went to go get my gear. But the captain, he said, I'm writing you up for disrespect to an officer and for disobeying an order. And I said I was being disrespectful, but I was on my way back to the LZ for that chopper.
Antigone is innocent. I buried Polynices.
Sisters in crime.
I acted alone. I will bear the punishment alone.
Antigone, we must stand together as women.
You sealed your fate when you said no.
Take my hands. Please. I wish to share your guilt.
Go live.
You refuse my hands.
I am not afraid to face my death. It is a fate I embrace proudly. You must embrace your fate untouched by mine. And if guilt finds a way into your heart, may it impel you to tell the stories of our fallen brothers.
This wedding ring belonged to a young Viet Cong fighter. He was killed by a Marine unit in the Phu province of South Vietnam in May 1968. I wish I knew more about this young man. I've carried this ring with me for 18 years, and now it is time for me to lie it down. This boy, he's not my enemy any longer.
King Creon, Antigone is mad. Forgive her. Free her.
Madness, yes. But freedom? No.
She is betrothed to your son Haman. You would slaughter her and deny your son his bride.
I would rather he take a whore for a wife than marry this bitch.
Yes, sir.
Hear her sentence. In the caves where the insane and the dissidents are held, place this girl in a solitary chamber. Let her feast on her pride. Let her drink from the cup of misguided righteousness until she starves to death.
And after my court-martial, I was brought to a stockade in Saigon Long Bin jail. There, I was placed in an iron Connex box, 6 by 6. The boxes sat in the sun, and we didn't get out for any reason. Not for showers, not even to go to the bathroom. I was gassed, beaten, pissed on, kicked, not fed for a few days, no water some days. For 2 to 3 weeks, I sat in that box, chained to the bottom. I think they wanted us to die.
Antigone,
Haman,
tell me the reports I hear are false.
I have been sentenced to death by your father.
It's true. You buried Polynices.
I chose to follow our customs, not your father's order.
You held a dead man in higher esteem than our love.
It is unfair to think that my love for my brother and my love for you are incompatible.
I think I hate you.
Don't be bitter. Don't be blinded by my deeds. My affections for you have not changed.
There are Other reports?
Be careful what you might say. Someone might hear and betray you.
Reports that the people take your side, not my father's.
That is my hope.
I do not mean to hate you.
I know. Your heart remains uncorrupted. Someday you will recognize my intent and understand why I did what I did. I love you. Don't fall to me that I must leave you.
I will do, or say, whatever I must to save your life, Antigone.
Dear Alan, it is that time of year again for me to get to say my special hello to you. I feel so close to you when I'm here at the wall, when I see, feel, and touch your name on this black granite wall. Panel 23 West, line 57. I feel such pride for having known you during our 6 years of high school and the 3 years after. We had 9 years of a very special friendship, which will never be forgotten, and which will be cherished forever. When I was told of your death on June 3rd, 1969, a little of me died with you. Many times I asked myself why you died and left me behind. But I will never forget all the good memories I have of you. Like the homecoming dance of '65 when you fell on your behind trying to impress me with what a good dancer you were. I still laugh at that memory. But a smile always crosses my face when I think of you. Remember they called you, me, and Jerry Lynn Noe the Three Musketeers of rural high school, because when you saw one, you saw all three? Well, Jerry's name is down on panel 22 East, line 46. You two always did stick together. But you guys left me out this time. Alan, we had something special. And my feelings for you have never faded. And I will keep those feelings till the end of time and then through eternity. The time has come once again for me to leave, but I look ahead to next year and I will be able to return to our special place at the wall. I know you are not lonely. Because you got Jerry there and the 58,132 brothers and sisters. The 58,132 brothers and sisters whose names are on the wall with you. Remember, till next year, I love and I miss you. Love you, Patty Sampson Taylor, Knoxville, Tennessee.
Antigone, wake up!
Mamie,
Come, the guards are asleep. Make your escape!
my freedom will be short-lived with me. In the light of day, I will be captured.
Make an attempt. There are those that will hide you.
If my life is to matter, I must live in openness and honesty.
Your death will change nothing. The world has no care for the cause of our sex. It does not wish to entertain the ideals of a crusading woman.
I think you're wrong.
What will you do?
Endure, I hope, until the end. I am not ready to say farewell.
And when you're gone, what am I to do?
Break the bonds, be a champion for our sex.
To do that, I would have to undo a yoke worn even by gods.
Yes.
You ask too much.
Sister, are we not the daughters of Oedipus?
I did 2 tours of duty in Vietnam. I did my share of killing, and I saw my share of dying. But the toughest job in Vietnam was being a nurse. I saw many of my brothers who were hit with a bullet or shrapnel or worse. Fortunately for me, I only had to bear with their misery for a short time, until I could get them to a medevac chopper. You, on the other hand, had to live with that every minute you were there. My job was to kill, and I became very good at it. I'm not proud of that, but I can't change it now. Your job was to heal, and there is no doubt in my mind which is a more honorable profession. I have traveled this country extensively. I have been in big cities and in small ones. I see monuments of our military leaders. I can go to museums and see bullets and rockets and hand grenades. I can see all these heroes of our country whose job it was to kill other human beings. But if my son were to ask me, Dad, where can I go to see a monument to the women of the country who saved lives? I would sadly have to say, I'm sorry, but I do not know.
Father? Father?
You summoned me?
Father?
Surmise you heard the verdict, that I condemned your bride.
In the streets there is talk of nothing else.
Do you come in anger, or am I still in your good grace?
I remain a dutiful son, ever mindful of your good, abiding judgment.
That is the wish of every man. To have a son who is dutiful in his conduct toward his father.
I understand.
And the same is true of everyone within a house. A man must be afforded full allegiance. But she, who would be your wife, has obeyed her disobedience. Be glad you are free of her.
Yes, Father.
Although, by rare mishap, a woman may offer up a winning course. Should a man submit to her path? No, I say. Accept defeat only from a man.
Father, God, in his wisdom, imbued man with a mind to reason. I do not imply your ends are wrong, still there may be validity in thoughts that contradict your own.
Validity.
In my desire to protect your interests, to be vigilant on your behalf, I endeavor to hear what men say of their king.
And what do the people say?
Well, you are feared, Father, greatly, and so your subjects are reluctant to speak their mind, but when their silence is broken, they say that Antigone has been treated unjustly.
Oh, thoughts shared in the street or banter in the marketplace do not interest me.
I urge you to be flexible in your view, Father. Though I am young, it would serve you well to consider my thoughts.
So now I'm to be instructed by the young.
Ignore my youth. Listen to my words. Are they reason? Do I argue for injustice?
This rebel should not be punished.
The people of Thebes say no.
So a king should cast aside all judgment and listen to the advice of his subjects.
And why so impetuous? Can we not have a reasoned dialogue?
Everything you say indicates that you side with her.
I cannot condone your decision, Father.
I acted according to the interests of the state.
Acted against the rule of God.
Defend a woman! Shameful! Any hope of acquittal is futile. You can grovel if you wish. There will be no marriage.
If she dies, it will not be alone.
You threaten me with further bloodshed.
My words are a promise, not a threat.
Enough of your insults! You are not my son! Bequeath my crown to a brat? I should have the throat of the girl such slashed before your eyes and put an end to your insolence.
It all comes down to me in the night. The real war began after the fight. Coming home didn't feel like my big parade. Sometimes I wish I had stayed where my brothers were laid. I've been waking up at night, hearing you crying. I've been seeing your heart turn to ash and feeling you dying. In the morning, I'm hoping my neighbors aren't able to see the things I can't seem to erase from my memory. Oh, I wish I could fill up the carvings upon the wall, or pick up the pieces and try to make sense of it all. And though it's been years, and I know that my friends have all died, I touch your name and feel a heartbeat on the other side.
Dear Gary, Doug, and Billy. Well, that time has rolled around and the class of 65 is having its 20th year reunion. Cheers, cheers to Old Orchard Park High School. Don't be afraid that you won't be remembered. We all thought of you in 1975, and our thoughts are still with you. I think of you all, often. Doug, they moved your house off the boulevard onto a new street. Your death was a real shock, especially since you were so adamant about hating guns. Billy, I'm sorry that we never lived out our fantasy of running into each other at the supermarket with batches of children. And yes, Gary, I still talk too much. I live in Los Angeles now, and I could not have gone to that reunion without first coming here. I learned that the pain and loss never really goes away. It just changes. Sometimes I think it is more painful now, and I'm still so mad. In leaving today, tears stain the airplane, the window on the runway. It hasn't rained in LA for months, but it rains today. I have had 20 years now to reflect on this madness, and it's always the same. Thinking of you, Linda Phillips Paulo.
There is unease throughout the city. A storm is brewing.
Any sign of an uprising must be quelled.
And your son is amongst the agitators.
Arrest him.
He is surrounded by a shield of men, and they prevent his capture.
Does he incite the people?
He talks openly of rebellion, refers to you as a murderer.
Haven't we had enough bloodshed?
An effigy of you has been burned.
Send in a squadron of guards. Disperse the crowd.
Many of the soldiers share the sentiments of the mob. To activate the guard could cost you your life.
Fear prevents you from your duty? burn the homes of the insurgents.
To set fire to the city.
If that is what we must do to maintain our hold, yes.
We shared a whole lot in the time that we knew each other. Pain, hunger, sickness, triumph, laughter, and more than a little excitement. We even shared a lover. That both of us moved the bitch. But you won her. You've got to know we couldn't help you. Not without risking us all. God help me. I can still smell your blood. I've been looking for forgiveness for 20 years now. I've always said that when you died, it was like killing the other half of myself. Maybe that's not necessarily true. But what I did lose was youth. All the idealism, the trust, the self-confidence, and personal power we had. I'm scared now. Most of the time. And I hurt a lot. I've never been able to get close to anyone since you died. I live in the past because today hurts too much. I want out of the past.
King! I come, compelled by a voice that won't be still.
You could pass for a ghost, old one.
Mark my age. Now, admit your youthful folly.
I am not in the mood for a lecture, Teresius.
Hear me! In my lifetime, I have seen men act in valiant and in shameful ways.
As have I.
Admit your indiscretion, reverence the gods.
You are accusing the wrong person of indiscretion.
Creon, do not presume to reforge eternal laws. As for vengeance, it is best left to the gods.
What you call vengeance, I call lawful retribution.
It seems you are bent on following your own narrow course, but I implore you, turn back. Do not condemn yourself to a grave injustice. Be merciful.
What arrogance! I, and only I, am master of my soul.
I fear you are in mortal danger. An arrow launched by you has set its mark and will return to strike the archer. Its wound will prove the hunter is nothing but a man.
21 years ago, July 1965, a gentle, caring, 26-year-old pilot left for Southeast Asia, certain that by his service he was helping one of America's allies fight for their freedom and right to self-determination. 19 and a half years later, a handful of bones, a small section of jawbone, and 2 teeth were returned and positively identified as the only mortal remains of this once tall and proud American, Dana Schwartz.
For a brief term that I have lived on this earth, what seemed to be an endless path in my youth has quickly come to an end. I go to my death. I go alone to pass, unattended between here and there. I go not alone, but in the company of those who wish me well through life's journey. I go to my death, unmarried. I go childless, no mirror of myself, no child to carry on the good or the shameful part of me. I go to my death, attended by their words of wisdom, their blessings, their deliberate acts of mercy. My legacy now ends. No more patterns. No seasons, no songs. I am not ready to say farewell.
Joseph E. Satoni, my dearest friend of all our high school years, our college years. We grew up together. Halfway up anyways. I thought we could grow old together. How little I knew how dependent I was on you. We could never talk about losing you. The conflict was unpopular. But oh, how we felt it. Now, these past 3 years, the nation is coming to its senses and recognizing what you and your friends of great courage sacrificed. You went. You didn't have to go. A volunteer. A patriot who believed in your country. I miss you now as much as I missed you then. Your death changed my life in a way I didn't even know until recently. I will always hold you in a special place in my heart. And you will grow old with me. For our memories do not dim with the passing of time. I have told some friends this trip to Washington is a pilgrimage. I am coming here to honor you and the many who gave themselves for their family, friends, and country. We have loved you always and we respect the choices you made. Perhaps someday we will meet again. Fondest affections, Angela.
A lot of things changed in 19 years. Your age when you died. Evan, Diana, and I have all married and have kids. I married Gary, the only in-law you met. And he is now a colonel in the Air Force. So my kids move around like we did. Mom and Dad got divorced in '79, and Mom remarried. And both seem pretty happy. Do you remember that water buffalo Dad gave you when he came back from Clark Air Base in '66? I've had it ever since. I figure it's time to give it back to you now. I want it to be remembered that you were a real person who lived and was loved very much. Someday I'll see you again. I will see you again. Lots of love, your sister, Sally.
Goodbye, John. If there is a caring, Christian God, I hope he has forgiven us both and sent you with the rest of our brother warriors to a peaceful final reward.
My dearest Ben, I brought you teddy bear and made a picture of your beloved race car, number 7. Oh, I know they can't stay here with you very long, but they are yours, and I want them to be with you. In time, I hope we can all be together. Much love to you, my dear, dear Ben.
Dear Ed, it's taken me 22 long years to get the courage, but I finally made it. There hasn't been one day in those 22 years that I haven't thought about you, talked to you, loved you, and missed you. I've seen pictures of the wall and all the things that people were leaving, letters, medals, pictures, just about anything you can think of. I wanted to bring something. So I brought worry. I remember how you laughed when you saw me making that ragtag doll out of an old sock.
I remember how you helped me finish it and how it became our mascot. I always put it on my pillow after I made up my bunk each morning. Worry was baptized with 1,000 gallons of tears the day you went down. Somehow, I feel Worry will be closer to you here than packed away in my trunk of memories. Everything turned to shit after you went down. At least you're not MIA or a POW. The country hasn't done well with that issue. But we brothers and sisters will never, ever give up. Never. God, I miss you. I will think of you every day of my life. Funny, I can still smell Vietnam.
I can still see your eyes and hear you laugh. Rest gently, my darling man. Sweet dreams, my gallant hero. Until we meet again, and we will. Kim.
Tiresias, your words have troubled me.
Perhaps there is time to change the path you have chosen.
And what must I do to save myself?
Release the girl. Take back your condemnation of the dead.
I will rescue the child myself.
There is no hope in retracting your words. The past cannot be reforged. In the dark shadow of the vault, Antigone hung herself with a noose made from her bridal veil.
Summon my son. Whatever he demands of me, I shall do.
Too late. Your offer is but a hollow gesture. Haman, too, is dead,
This cannot be.
defying your orders. Haman demanded entry into the prison of his bride. In the light cast by his torch, when he saw his beloved, he cried out, an anguished curse against the law that decreed her death. Looking into the face of his betrothed, he drew his sword and leaned upon the weapon. But the bloodshed did not end there. Eurydice, your wife, the queen, hearing the prince had thus died, also took her life. Pray the bloodshed has come to an end.
There she sits on Buttermilk Hill. There she sits and cries her fill. Every tear would turn on Bill. Johnny has gone for a soldier.
My life is wasted. A ruler is charged to entertain both good and evil. I acted neither wisely or with compassion, but with an aim to ensure my reign.
I dug the bullet that killed Henry out of the bunker wall and have held on to it for 20 years.
She'll sell her rod, she'll sell her reel, to buy her love a sword and shield, so he'll do battle in the field. Johnny has gone for a soldier.
And now the city burns.
We have loved you always and respect the choices you've made.
I'll dye my petticoats, I'll dye them red, and round the world I'll beg my bread, until my parents wish me dead. Johnny has gone for a soldier.
And Tiresias, I'm told, has been consumed by the flames.
I hope you don't mind, but I recently made contact with your parents. They're good people, too. I hope to meet them someday. I love you, brother.
Sure, 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 Shiloh.
Me, oh my, she loved him so. But now he lies buried on the field. Johnny has gone for a soldier. Johnny has gone for a soldier.
Johnny has gone for a soldier.
And as the prophet foretold, I launched an arrow whose target was myself.
For 22 years I've carried your picture in my wallet.
Thank you, dear one. You are greatly loved and deeply missed.
Somehow, I feel worriedly closer to you here than packed away in my trunk of memories.
Take care, big brother. Someday you can call me little brother again. Love always.
We had 9 years of a very special friendship.
To watch you die has been the most painful experience of my life.
How I wish I could touch your name and say goodbye.
I never told you this when you were alive, but I love you, and I miss you very much.
Attached to this letter are my service medals. I don't need them to show I was there. Rest well, my brothers.
My prayer, my dear and sweet husband, is that the world will forever know peace, that never again will death separate and permanently sear the hearts of those families torn by the tragedies of war. I await the day the Lord reunites us in heaven. Honey, I love you forever. Your wife, Jan.
Goodbye.
I am ready to say farewell.
I think of you almost every day.
My prayer,
In time, I hope we can all be together.
Where can we go to see a monument to the women of the country who saved lives?
How I wish I could touch your name and say goodbye.
My prayer.
Rest well, my brothers.
My prayer.
Someday I'll see you again.
My prayer.
Is that the world will forever know
Peace.
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 Peace.